So, Bill, thanks for meeting with me today. Can you give a little bit of background on yourself, the business, and yeah, kind of how you got here?
Hey, Keegan. Yeah, thank you. So I've been in this business for about 10 years. In the past, I was doing lead generation for banks and insurance companies, did some consulting, sales consulting for banks on how to sell off of lead generation or marketing. But then I got into this business about 10 years ago and went through different stages of running a business, especially not knowing much about construction. Had to develop a lot of systems for marketing and sales and grow through that. It took years to find the right people and to get moving in the right direction. And that's where we're at now. Like, we're starting to move. Everything is starting to click.
Can you talk a little bit about where the business was at before we started working together, things you tried, what the business looked like?
Yeah. So I've tried pretty much any marketing strategy that's out there. I'll take a look at, or I'll think about. But I'm the kind of person that I don't mind buying a lead, like on a per lead basis, because then I could track my numbers on it. I buy 100, 12% sale, whatever it might be. But you were more like, hey man, I'm going to get you some calls and appointments. And I was intrigued by that. But I've done Home Advisor. I've done advertising through Yelp, Google, other Facebook vendors, social media vendors, like what you're primarily doing. I've done advertising to my existing client base, postcard mailers. I've pretty much done it all over the last 10 years in this business. Obviously, the last several years, the shift is more towards, your Google, your Yelp, social media stuff. So, but I've tried everything.
Yeah. And then going back kind of with our relationship, how did you initially hear about us? When did I know, but when did you initially hear about us?
So it's funny because I get probably 5 to 8 calls a day that are, I can get you on the front page of Google, or I have the best leads, I can get you appointments, whatever it might be. And typically, and I'm sure you know this if you're making outbound calls to contractors, I avoid most of those calls, probably 90% of them. The last few that I've dealt with, you being one of them, their introduction was better. And being that I used to do phone sales consulting, I listened to you because I was like, I'm going to respect the salesperson in him. And you really talked you didn't over talk, you didn't oversell what you were doing. You just told me exactly what you felt you could do and how you'd be able to benefit my business. And I think you may have closed me that call or the next call, but I thought it's definitely worth researching. And then, I think you told me we would do 8 or 12 appointments. You beat that the first month. You said the second month would be maybe 10 or 12. You doubled it. And from there on, it's just been great. But I think you just cold called me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was back in, I want to say that was back in November of last year, maybe something like that. It was late last year, I think. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. And I know you've tried a lot of, you're working with the other agency. Do you remember what the first month was like working with us?
Well, again, you were getting to my top sales guy, so I wasn't involved as much with the appointments. I knew they were coming. He was working them. We didn't get any sales the first month, but that's, again, those tickets are not, come out and quote a $500 job. They were 50, 60, 80, $100,000 jobs. So, but I knew the appointments were going in the right direction. We were getting appointments. The people had money and interest. And then all of a sudden it started to get like maybe 45 days in, we got a $30,000 sale, and then a 50, 60, 80. And now they're coming in regular.
Okay. And what are your projections for the next couple months, next year?
So September, what are we on the 11th today? We've sold 225,000 in the month of September. We have about 80,000 ready to go. Like, we're going back to meet with them for a third time just to go over material. That's not even in that number. But we'll probably break 350 this month, which would be an enormous month for us.
Wow.
But prior to this, about 3 weeks ago, I planned out that we would do about through September, October, November, and December. Another 800,000 was our goal, about 200,000 a month.
Okay. Okay. And you're on track then. Well on your way.
This month we are on track. So, we'll see November and December. Some of the things that you and I might talk about in this discussion is what we're going to do with some of our other marketing that you might be able to help us with. But November, December could be tricky, but as long as people are requesting appointments, I think we can keep our numbers where we need them to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. One last question for you.
Okay.
What would you say to someone who's considering working with us?
Yeah, it's one of those, I know what you're up against because you're dealing with people that are busy. They're not cash heavy. And if not doing enough volume, they're probably not putting a lot into marketing. So it's a tough sell to do cold call to somebody and talk to them about it. But I would say if you had someone so third party validation, like you're talking to another contractor, what's the best way to sell them is to have another contractor tell them his results, third party validation. So for the money that you're charging, if you can afford the fee up front, it's definitely worth them doing because they're going to get a service from you that's, if they have a sales strategy and they're able to go do the appointments and they do them half well, they're going to make money.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.